Why choose this country versus any other country you could have chosen to create value and fulfill purpose?
Because I am Pakistani, right? Like, I have an affiliation to my country.
But your country is the US.
My country is not the US. See, I don't think of myself as American.
Restriction, a barrier in people thinking about or taking loans in this market versus overseas markets.
देखिए, सबसे पहले चीज़ तो ये है कि जब कोई लोग लोन सुनते हैं उनका इमीडिएट दिमाग जाता है सूद, क्योंकि हमारी बैंकिंग सिस्टम ने इतने अब्यूसिव प्रैक्टिसेस, अब्यूसिव इंटरेस्ट रेट्स रखे हुए हैं। मगर जो हम कर रहे हैं हमारा डिफरेंट प्रोडक्ट है। हमारा प्रोडक्ट का नाम है स्टडी नाउ पे लेटर।
Like, when do you think that you have attained success?
कि लोगों को पता हो कि they don't need to drop out जो कि उनके पास पैसे नहीं है, उनको पता हो खुद ही कि Edufy है।
What is a pivot you would not be willing to make?
To move away from the education sector.
And is vocational training part of education in your definition?
Yes, vocational training is a burgeoning field in Pakistan as well.
The one trait every founder should have.
Tenacity. You cannot give up. Like, अगर ये काम नहीं कर ये कर लो, ये काम नहीं कर लो, ये कर लो. You keep moving.
Is your college education or your child's college education extremely expensive? Is it difficult for you to afford to pay for that education? What if there is a solution for that where you can pay in installments at a very, very reasonable interest rate that is Sharia compliant? In this episode, we will look at exactly that product. It's Edufy, and we're going to talk to Alina Nadeem, the founder of that business, who is solving the education system's financing problem in a very, very unusual and unique manner. Check out this episode of Digitales. Alina Nadeem, how are you today?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
So you are very busy, and you've always been busy. You've been a former investment banker. You went to MIT and studied at MIT, became an investment banker at Goldman Sachs. Then you became a venture capitalist for a few years. After venture capital, you decided to get into entrepreneurship. And of all the markets in the world you could have chosen, you chose Pakistan. Even though you never grew up in this country, your family is not living in this country. You chose to come here and build a business. Walk me through this logic, because you're the first and only person who I have met who has moved to Pakistan to build and scale a business without having any family association of this place.
If you put it like that, you just make me sound insane, but...
I mean, we all,
Maybe I don't know how to answer that question. But look, I mean, career-wise, I think a lot of people have that trajectory, so I don't think that part is special.
But I had family, so I made that move. A bunch of us made the move that are with you in Shark Tank.
Yeah.
But we all had family here as anchors that kind of pulled us back in.
Yeah.
But you didn't have that anchor. This was a choice made by you voluntarily, and you weren't even married at the time.
No, for 2.5 years.
So you, as a single woman, gave up VC globally to move to Pakistan to start a business. That logic you need to break down to me. Okay,
well, I think let's just step back a little bit. Like, when I was at Ventura, which is the VC fund I was working in, or like if you speak to any banker or ex-banking, I think after 5, 6 years, you kind of realize there's long hours. At least for me, I did have an existential crisis where I was kind of like, what am I doing? Is it just money? I feel like Zindagi mein actually, people are actually looking for purpose, maqsad. Like, I felt very lost as a person because I was just kind of doing things that I felt like didn't have an impact on people or have any meaning, real meaning. And I was like, also, when you're in these firms, you look up at your seniors, right? So like, not any of the specific companies I worked at, I'm not talking about them, but I'm just saying, for example, you look up at the partners and you look at their lives, their personal lives, right? And I'm not going to name any people, but the females there, there was like, in the next firm I worked at, there was 3 females who were at senior levels. And one of them was divorced. The other one had 2 kids, was single, and had a partner, but was not married. and the third one had been single her entire life, right? And I believe you can't attain anything without sacrificing something. So when I saw that level, I was like, is this what I'm going to have to sacrifice to get here? So then you start questioning or asking yourself, is it worth it? And for me, it frankly wasn't. And also what I was doing, I'm not like so passionate about. And I think it's important to note which business I've come back to do in Pakistan. It's not as any business. If it was any business, I may not have been incentivized to do it, but I feel very strongly about the education sector, because even sitting in London, I would hear stories about, women getting gang type situations where they're assaulted, crowd hurting in parks. I'm like, is this the country that I come from? And for me, I know education is not the solution to everything, but I think there needs to be a basic standard of education or adult literacy level that is encouraged or emphasized in our country for us to make a difference. So long-winded answer, but I think I didn't feel like what I was doing had an impact or purpose in my, lacked purpose. I felt Pakistan needed some sort of impetus in the education sector. And third, I feel like I was privileged enough in a privileged enough situation to be able to go back and make that difference and choose a life of impact, if I can or if I could.
But you weren't born in Pakistan.
I wasn't. I was born in New York.
So you're not technically a Pakistani by
I'm
birth.
Pakistani. Why? Just because it didn't live in... This is the other thing I get really frustrated about. जब पाकिस्तानी इधर रह रहे होते वो कहते हैं आप तो पाकिस्तानी है नहीं. क्यों? Just because I haven't lived here, I'm not Pakistani. I have a Pakistani passport.
No, I understand.
My parents
that.
are Pakistani.
So your parents are Pakistani.
Actually, I think expat Pakistanis are more patriotic about this country than local Pakistanis
because
are.
Because they see the bright side of it. We live through the daily life of it.
Well, now I live through it too. No, I'm living here too now.
No, so this is a question I have, because we say this a lot about the ABCDs, right? American born confused daisies. Like, this is a term I picked up in college. That's what we do. We are at FOBs. They're the ABCDs, fresh off the boats, and the ABCDs. So if you're an ABCD, you've never really lived in Pakistan except the 4 weeks you get of holiday where everything is great because you come for either a wedding, you come for a celebration. Sometimes, yes, you come for a sad occasion where you've lost someone in the family. But you see the best that the country has to offer because everything is great in those 3 weeks. That is not the Pakistan that we live in. So how did you identify with being a Pakistani? So that's the first part of it, because the second part of it is connected to that. If you felt that you were leading a life of no purpose, makes sense.
Yeah. That
career has a lot of sacrifices. Why choose this country versus any other country you could have chosen to create value and fulfill purpose?
Because I am Pakistani, right? Like, I have an affiliation to my country. Like, I feel for my country. This is
But your country is the US.
My country is not the US. See, I don't think of myself as American. I mean, I don't know whether this podcast is going to get me into trouble, but, I do have an American passport, but I'm saying I also have a Pakistani one. I'm Pakistani. My parents brought me up as Pakistani. We're speaking Urdu in the house. My mother's talking about the Pakistani news back home. So I feel a special affiliation to my country. And also the other thing is, I think you have to realize how us Pakistanis are viewed outside. And that infuriates me. Aapko pata hai na ki agar hum table par baithe hue hain, right? Pakistanis are the bottom of the table, in terms of
yes,
what they think of us.
Afghanis have now gotten a step up.
And it's embarrassing. I think we should all be embarrassed of it.
Do you know that Dubai, which was built by Pakistanis, is now rejecting visas of all Pakistanis? Did you know that? This is the last 30 days I'm talking about.
Okay, that makes me want to cry.
So what I'm trying to say is that you felt you were a Pakistani based on what you're saying is because that culture was a part of your upbringing.
Yeah.
Right?
You said it in a lot better way than me. Better English.
And so because that culture was a part of your upbringing, and I'm assuming you came here for holidays.
Yeah. Every summer we would be here, like any ABC.
How long would you spend here?
Long period, at least 2-3 months.
2-3 months,
all the summer holidays we would be here.
So you would get a flavor.
Yeah. And my parents purposefully did that, spend time. They even tried to get me into schools here, and I kind of was like, no.
And for that reason, you felt connected.
Yeah, I think that's one reason I felt connected. But I think the second reason is also like we have a massive problem there are massive problems in our country that need fixing. So there's a need here.
Yeah.
Take it, the second reason. And the third reason I would also say is that there's a massive infuriation at how we as Pakistanis are viewed, right? On the international landscape, which is where I grew up. I think that's one thing that, people, I think local Pakistanis don't realize, the ones who've been brought up here, is that like stealing from our country and just like moving stuff abroad is great for your pockets, but like it just is making the country poorer, and it makes us like how when people come to visit. Like I just got married like a year ago, and I brought all my international friends here, and I showed them the best of the best. I think I tried my best to, and I hope that they had a good time. But our country is so poor, and, if you compare their experiences, or if they went to India, they're like, oh, we didn't realize that, Pakistan and India are so different. India has malls, India's roads are clean, India is this, India is that. And I'm like, and I'm thinking in my mind, in the last decade, India and Pakistan have just gone like this in terms of like development, ecosystem, infrastructure, everything. I mean, we can't even compare ourselves to India anymore. When people are comparing, oh, India does this. And I was like, dude, we don't even compare Pakistan to India anymore. Afghanistan is a better,
comparison set.
Yeah.
So now I understand, right? So even though your nationality, birth nationality may not have been this country's, but the fact that you spent time here in your upbringing and it's been a part of your culture, you felt a love or a connection for this place, right? Chalo, that's fine also. So you didn't have purpose in the work that you did. You felt a love and connection for this place. But does that still mean that you get up and you physically move as a single woman to this place to deliver on that purpose and on that love and connection? Because that's a hard move for a single girl in this country, especially given some of the headlines. Some of them are not as bad as the India headlines. I think India is a little bit further down in that situation. Pakistan's a lot better. How did that thinking get solved in your mind?
So I think that when I also realized the opportunity that I'm working on, right? Like I think that what EduFi is trying to build is actually a huge opportunity. I think that I could make this massive, and I don't think that I could make anything as massive in America or London. So the opportunity set is also something that we should focus on. I think what we're doing is we're giving student loans in Pakistan. I'm introducing that concept. It's never been done before. And there's a huge market and a huge gap for it, right? I can go and try. I wanted to become an entrepreneur, that's for sure. If I go and try and build something in America, it's been done. You have to be at the cutting edge of, the new innovation that's really adding efficiencies in. Pakistan, mein primary problems are not solved, right? And I want to solve primary problems. Primary problems ka matlab ki basic education ki problem nahi solve. Agar aap San Francisco mein jayenge, they'll be like making B2B software SaaS solutions where they're trying to, increase efficiency in corporates and stuff, so really, in my view or my lens, tertiary problems. So I wanted to work on primary problems because those are more fulfilling. And in Pakistan, there's a large gap. And I think that EduFi could be massively successful here. If I try to build an EduFi in America, there's 300 student loan companies, right? So I think that's a very important point to note. So like when I was doing a comparison, I was in the fintech space at Ventura. So one of the companies that came on my desk in a comparison pool was SoFi. Obviously, you must know of SoFi.
Vaguely, yeah. Tell me more about it.
So it's like a digital bank in San Francisco. It was started from, from the education sector. Stanford had a lot to do with it. They took money from alumni from Stanford to start it. And so that's what EduFi is really built off of. The idea is actually SoFi of Pakistan. And so EduFi is SoFi of Pakistan. But because most people don't know of SoFi in Pakistan, it's very rare that I talk about that. Education finance is also the second pun on the word. So, but people in Pakistan also call it EduFi because you have to pay this fee challan. So I'm like, fine, you can call it EduFi as well. That's the third reason. But yeah.
Okay. So then so it's interesting. there are 400, from the statistics that I know, there's 400,000 students that graduate every year from universities in Pakistan.
That's not correct. It's 3 million students.
3 million graduates.
Not graduates, 3 million students. Oh, you're talking about just the ones that finish final year?
Yes.
Okay, 3 million, yes. 3 million students total from first year to the final year. So like it's a 4-year program. For DPT and medical colleges, it can go up to 5.
Yeah.
So there's 3 million. But I didn't even wait for your question, but the ones that
No,
finish...
this is good. This is what I wanted to clarify, because the stat I read was the number that graduates every year from, let's say, university going into the workforce.
Yeah.
So that number was like close to 500,000, 400,000 or something.
Wo theek hai, that sounds fine. But I think the number that finish high school is around 20 million.
Right.
30 million. So it's around like a 27 million gap.
So 3 crore people finish high school, 30 million. Of that...
3 million are in some form of university education. First year, second year, third year.
So 30 million ka 10% goes to university.
Exactly. So 27 million is the
Don't go to university.
Don't go to university, but they're eligible to go to university.
But they don't go because it's a funding problem.
That's my thesis. ये मेरा thesis है, ठीक है, कि मेरा hypothesis ये है कि 30 million students में से 27 million have dropped out, and that's what I'm trying to encourage them to do कि भाई, you can take money from our app. हम आपको बहुत पाकिस्तान में सबसे subsidized हम कर रहे हैं, 50% lower than the banks, not even 1 or 2, बहुत सस्ती funding हमने की हुई है, लें और अपनी education खत्म करें. But
what is the cost of your funding?
It's 1.4% per month. It's a JARA service charge. It's not interest.
It's not interest. So it's even Islamic finance compliant.
It's Islamic financing, Sharia compliance है. हमारे पास मुफ्ती हमारे board पर भी हैं, हमारे पास certificate भी है. Everything is Sharia compliant.
So 1.4% per month annualized works out to about 16-17%.
Yeah.
And that's cheaper than the bank. That's Kaibor is now 17% as of right now.
So it's cheaper than the banks, yes. Like the banks are, like remember banks आपको ना collateral भी देते हैं.
Actually, you don't do any collateral.
हमारा collateralized नहीं है, ठीक है.
So you just do bank statements.
Bank statement चाहिए, fee चालान चाहिए आपको, CNIC चाहिए, ये तीनों चीजें आप upload कर दे ऐप पर and और आपका हो जाएगा.
So it's that simple. अपने parents का मैं CNIC, बैंक स्टेटमेंट, फी चालान अपलोड किया और कितनी देर में लोन मिल जाएगा?
24 आवर्स में आपको डिसीजन मिल जाएगा कि आप अप्रूव हो या रिजेक्ट हो.
एंड मुझे वो लोन पे बैक कितने अरसे में करना है?
आप चूज कर सकते हैं कि 3 महीने, 6 महीने, 9 महीने, 12 महीने. सो आपके इंस्टॉलमेंट प्लान्स हैं, आप इंस्टॉलमेंट प्लान से चूज कर सकते हैं कि आपको क्या चाहिए. किस्तों में हम कर देते हैं.
ये तो बड़ा सिंपल है.
बहुत सिंपल है. हम बहुत सिंपल रखने की कोशिश
करें. So you're saying that then you're going to take that 3 million number and you aspire to take double that number in the number of universities.
I mean, I don't know whether we can double it or not, but obviously my goal is to try and get as many people educated as possible.
Very interesting.
And not my goal, Edufy's goal, and Edufy की पीछे पूरी एक team भी है. So me and my team.
And is this limited to higher education or is it K through, मतलब first class 1 से लेके A levels, inter, metric, all of that?
So जब हमने शुरू किया था, we started off with just universities, but people felt left out. हमें messages आते थे गिलगित से, बलोचिस्तान से, from schools that why are you guys not giving to us people who are going to school? Why only specific universities? It was specific universities because those are the ones that we had agreements with. But now we have opened it up to everyone. So if you go on our app, you can get the entire, any university, any school, you can get a loan from us for. We are actively marketing on campus with the universities we have agreements with.
What is the biggest challenge you faced in scaling this?
Honestly, I don't have any experience in one department, which is marketing. Okay? Other departments, I kind of like, I know my shebang.
I might be able to offer some guidance. Maybe.
So marketing, honestly, जब मैंने शुरू किया था, the marketing team made a post, put some ad spend. Voila, मैं समझी थी कि एकदम इतने followers आ जाएंगे, इतना अच्छा product है. मगर अगर आप सोना भी बेच रहे हो ना, अगर आपकी marketing नहीं सही होगी, वो नहीं बिकेगा. And I was so shocked to learn this. कि actually marketing is about feelings and stuff, and I'm not very good at that whole
Says
feelings.
The MIT finance professional that marketing is about feelings.
No, anything feelings related, I kind of fall down on, and I think people.
You studied statistics at MIT, right?
No, I studied one. Yes, I took it. Yes, but I think I think in marketing has been my biggest department. Which
So
is why
marketing is all statistics, FYI. That's why I was connecting it, because you were
I don't
telling
think
me.
so. Actually, I think that it's more about. I mean, obviously, you're the expert in this, but I actually think that content which resonates with you have to invoke feelings in the end user, that they feel that they do it. For example, if you look at Apple's page, they don't ever post the Apple iPhone. It's all random pictures to just like evoke feelings or get catchy content, and that's why I'm on this podcast, because my marketing team's like, you need to go out there and like, talk about your mission. So I was like, okay, so here I am.
So you can break down the feelings into data.
Okay.
That's how I look at it. So I mean, I'm a numbers guy.
पहले आपको evoke करनी है ना भाई,
So you test. There's a lot of testing, right? A lot of hypothesis testing. Not at the scale that you're doing with Edufy, but you test a lot of kind of collateral content, throw it out there and see how your audience behaves and reacts to it.
Yeah.
And then you break down that behavior. Is some content driving more engagement? Is some driving more hearts and likes? Or is some driving more shares? And then you break down, okay, why was this shared more versus that liked more?
Yeah.
Right? And then you look at the data and break it down and compare. And once you figure out the data, marketing is a pure data play, in my view.
Yeah.
Because the data then encourages you to create something that will work the next time.
Yeah.
And since you're a data play person, this should be right up your alley.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we're still in the first phase. Like once we get the data, then we can try and do it. But I think more people are getting to know about it. And once they know about it, they love it, right? We have a lot of repeat customers. That's the main thing, that कि जिन्होंने इस्तेमाल किया है उनको बहुत पसंद आया है, right? And that's your real indicator of success. कि are you solving a real problem? जिन्होंने use किया है, or they're just like हाँ ठीक था, शायद use करे ना use करे. But ours are like, no, give us another one. We need it. It was really easy. You guys are fair. कोई late charges नहीं है, कोई hidden charges नहीं है, you're not trying to like abuse us with your abusive practices that I personally think sometimes banks can do. We're not a bank, right? And so yeah. I mean, hopefully we're getting onto it now.
So let me understand your specific target audience. Is it the student or the parent?
दोनों हो सकते हैं, ठीक है? So and that's where that's also another problem कि we can target the students, but in Pakistan जो बच्चों की फी होती है parents pay करते हैं.
और बच्चों की कॉलेज का डिसीजन भी पेरेंट्स लेते हैं.
100%. But the issue is कि बच्चों को पता नहीं होता कि पेरेंट्स कितने मुश्किल तरीके से behind the scenes are putting the money together.
Yeah.
So they look at our product and they be like, oh, मेरी तो fee paid है, हमें शायद नहीं चाहिए. But if you were to give this product or service to the parent, they'd be like, अभी दो. Because they hide from their children. बाप अपने बच्चों को नहीं बताता कि घर में कितनी मुश्किल है. He'll be secretly like trying to figure out the finances, making sure everything's okay. You know? And
is this different from the culture you grew up in America?
Well, I didn't grow up in America. I was born
You moved in Saudi, I think, yeah.
So no.
Or let's say, is this different from the culture overseas where the parents don't
Yes. Overseas, right? Student loans in America are paid by the student, right? The content is towards the student only. So this is a nuance. It's okay though. I think there's many ways to solve it, but we have allowed students to also apply. So we are also encouraging students to earn and apply themselves. Be an asset to the family. आप भी earn करें, आप भी माँ बाप की help करें. Bring the money into the house. अगर आप ऐप पे जाएंगे, आप co-borrowing भी कर सकते हैं. Student का भी डाल सकते हैं और बाप का भी डाल सकते हैं, और आप दोनों इकट्ठे repay करें. अपने अब्बू की भी help कर सकते हैं to repay the loan, right? So we really trying to encourage कि more people help, earn, and pay back and also bring money into the house.
So the student can be a participant in the loan, the parent can be a participant.
Yeah.
So dono ki messaging will be completely different though.
Yes.
We're reaching those two.
Yes.
One will be on, let's say, TikTok or Snapchat. The other one's going to be on Facebook.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's why marketing can be a bit of a challenge for you. Other than the marketing challenge, have you felt that there is a sort of restriction, a barrier in people thinking about or taking loans in this market versus overseas markets?
देखिए, सबसे पहले चीज तो ये है कि जब कोई लोग लोन सुनते हैं, उनका इमीडिएट दिमाग जाता है सूद. क्योंकि हमारी बैंकिंग सिस्टम ने इतने अब्यूसिव प्रैक्टिसेस, अब्यूसिव इंटरेस्ट रेट्स रखे हुए हैं, कोलैटरल इतना होता है, इतना मुश्किल होता है कि लोगों की परसेप्शन इतनी गलत है। मगर जो हम कर रहे हैं हमारा डिफरेंट प्रोडक्ट है। हमारा प्रोडक्ट का नाम है स्टडी नाउ पे लेटर, ठीक है। हम कोलैटरल नहीं, लाइक ऑल द थिंग्स दैट आई टोल्ड यू। सो हम, और द अदर थिंग इज हम शरिया कंप्लायंट है, वी आर इस्लामिक लेंडिंग, ठीक है। जैसे मीज़ान बैंक की तरह वी आर इस्लामिक लेंडिंग। सो दैट्स अ मेजर एंड की डिफरेंशिएटर कि पीपल फील कंफर्टेबल। हमारा जो सर्विस चार्ज है इट इज़ इजारा सर्विस चार्ज। इजारा सर्विस चार्ज का मायना क्या है? जो लोग काम कर रहे हैं हमारी कंपनी में, जो हमारी कस्टमर सपोर्ट की टीम है, जो आपकी सवाल पूछती, लाइक आंसर करती है जब आप कॉल करते हैं हमारे नंबर को, जो हमारी सेल्स टीम है जो यूनिवर्सिटीज़ के साथ रिलेशनशिप्स रखती है, जो हमारी डेवलपमेंट टीम है, सॉफ्टवेयर डेवलपर्स जो आप ऐप डेवलप करते हैं, इन सब की मैंने तनख्वाह पे करनी है। उस तनख्वाह के वो पैसे हैं सर्विस चार्ज। इजारा इज़ द इस्लामिक पार्ट जहाँ आप हमें एक रेंटल इनकम का मॉडल है, जहाँ आप हमें फी चलान के लिए, सीट के लिए रेंटल इनकम दे रहे हैं। इजारा सर्विस चार्ज।
I, in fact, coincidentally had an Islamic finance professional on literally 2 episodes ago.
Okay.
So he was able to break this down. So that's interesting. So you're basically rental income मिल रही है आपको, right? And उस rental income से आप अपनी education pay कर रहे हैं. Because you
against the seat of the university. You're renting the seat.
You're renting the seat.
Yes.
Technically.
Yes.
It's just all, to me, it's all paperwork.
No, but this is very important. It has to be asset backed. The seat is an asset, right?
Why is the seat an asset?
Because it's actually like a physical, seat in the university. It makes a difference. I mean, I'm not a Sharia compliance, expert, but obviously this is my understanding.
So I would have thought the seat is an asset because that seat, if I invest 4 years, can generate me an income or a return over my lifetime. Because of those 4 years I've studied, let's say I've invested in a medical seat, 20 लाख की होती है उनकी फीस. So 5 साल में 1 करोड़ रुपए हो गए. 1 करोड़ रुपए मैंने 5 साल में सीट रेंटल के दिए. अब मैं अगले 30 साल जब मैं डॉक्टर बन के काम करूंगा तो मैं अपने लाइफ टाइम में 10 करोड़ कमाऊंगा. तो मैंने 1 करोड़ की इन्वेस्टमेंट पे 9 करोड़ का मुनाफा कमाया. To me, that is the logic that I see it as. Is that how it's packaged?
Yeah, I think you're talking about rental once again.
Yeah.
It's rental income against the seat. जैसे आप अपना घर भी रेंट पर देते हैं उसी तरह ही है. So very similar.
So you're investing in building a house, फिर हाउस को आपने रेंट पे दिया और rental income is the return on that investment.
Yeah.
Can this be done in other sectors, not just education?
Yeah, of course. देखिए हमारे मुल्क में इतनी प्रॉब्लम्स हैं लोगों को to pay upfront money because people are living paycheck to paycheck. हम you don't have the money. People, medical colleges की फीस तो 25 लाख तक जा रही है, right? So who has 25 lakh to give in one go? Nobody has 25 lakh. I mean, अपने पेचेक खत्म होते हैं उनका नेक्स्ट पेचेक से वो फिर अपना अगला महीने चलाते हैं. और इस इन्फ्लेशन रेट्स में किसके पास इस तरह के? So we are just trying to ease. हम कोशिश कर रहे हैं कि हम ईज करें लोगों के लिए कि they are able to afford it. It can be applied to the healthcare sector. जब healthcare अभी we were just talking about it कि अगर किसी की एकदम पेमेंट आ जाती है,
कोई बीमार हो गया, एक्सीडेंट हो गया, 10 दिन में आपको 20 लाख
पूछना पड़ रहा है, आप you can get it. But इतना लंबी देर, banks take such a long time to give it. एंड collateral मांगते तो obviously वो बैंक्स के पास तो नहीं जाएंगे ना. तो जो हमारा कल्चर बना हुआ है because of the difficult banking requirements to get a loan, it's created a culture where आप हम साय से पूछेंगे, बहन भाई से पूछेंगे, ये पूछेंगे. मगर हम बैंक्स we don't think of ourselves as a bank. we are trying to provide a middle option between these two कि हम साय से नहीं पूछे, आप Edufy के पास आ सकते हैं. It's a middle route. हमारे पास एक क्लाइंट भी आया था. ये वाला कस्टमर मुझे पूरी जिंदगी याद रहेगा because ये एप्लीकेशन चल रही थी for 2 weeks. Now we have a very quick turnaround time. My customer support team हर दिन मैं ऑफिस आ रही थी and the customer support team के एक representative आ रहा था कि ये फिर से आ गए हैं, ये हमारे ऑफिस चल के आ गए हैं, ठीक है. And our office was in Gardi Shaw first. It's not easy for some people to come there from where they are coming. So, and they're just sitting there, and I was like, okay, but they got rejected. Like, unka score nahi tha. We can't accept everybody. My rejection bhi aati hai. So I was like, okay, let's go speak to him. For fourth day, I was like, let's go speak to him. He's like, no, I do want to apply. मैंने आपको गलत बैंक स्टेटमेंट दी थी, ठीक है, मैं आपको सही वाला दे देता हूँ, मगर ये मेरे भाई की है, मगर हम नहीं बताना चाह रहे अपने बच्चों को या घर पर, तो हम आपको फी चलान नहीं दे सकते, मगर ये कोई और प्रूफ है कि मेरी बच्ची पढ़ रही है. ही वॉज हाइडिंग बिकॉज हमें फी चलान भी चाहिए होता है ना, तो बैंक स्टेटमेंट की वजह से वो रिजेक्ट नहीं होया था. इट वॉज बिकॉज ही डिडंट हैव द फी चलान ऑफ हिज डॉटर.
And why was that?
Because he didn't want to speak to his daughter about getting a loan.
So he was hiding it from
he was hiding it from his daughter. So ठीक है, so then we have relationship with the institute. So जब institute like discussed, उन्होंने student ID number दिया, हमने confirm किया था कि नाम क्या, ID क्या. So once we found another way to confirm कि student indeed पढ़ रही है university में, then we were able to approve his application. But like, you know, there's so many cultural nuances here कि आप Edufy काफी लोगों को सहूलत like और सहारा दे रहे हैं in ways you can't imagine.
क्योंकि बाहरी स्टिग्मा नहीं है स्टूडेंट लोन का. I took student loans. I remember that.
Okay.
And I remember हमने apply किया. Part of it was a grant, part of it was a loan. And you had 4, 5, 10 years, however long you want to pay it back. But stigma नहीं था. Everyone I knew was on a student loan. Some obviously paid full fees बाहर से जो आए थे. But stigma किसी का नहीं था. Parents का भी नहीं था कि यार ये कोई एक बुरी चीज है. Pay to afford education, it's not cheap and it's an investment.
But I actually think कि जो बाहर के student loans हैं, there should be a stigma about it because they are so difficult to repay back. I mean, I'm sure you know you paid it back, but it's like it's gruesome to pay it back over there because उनकी भी I believe कि the student loan product in the US is a failed product and that sector also needs massive disruption. I don't know whether Study Now Pay Later will be applicable there or what product is applicable there. But it's definitely not the current structure that they're.
So I'll give you the sort of conspiracy theory hypothesis.
Okay.
The hypothesis can be, and it's not my hypothesis, it's just something I thought of, is you can have the smartest kids graduating and you want to keep them contained, right? So you give them the smartest education, finance that education, and over the course of their lifetimes, keep them bound in a situation where they're constantly thinking about that payment and the payback. In addition to the payment that they'll have for their house and their mortgage, for their car, and then eventually for their kids' student education. So you're keeping them in a lane rather than them going off and doing crazy things that might be disruptive or hard to control.
Yeah. Yeah, no, like that is
crazy hypothesis, but it is due for disruption. Other question that I had on this is, what does success look like? Like, when do you think that you have attained success?
When more number of students are educated.
Is there a number in mind?
देखिए, I want to at least, I also think कि जब पूरे मुल्क को Edufy एक household name बन जाता है, कि लोगों को पता हो कि they don't need to drop out, like क्योंकि उनके पास पैसे नहीं है, उनको पता हो खुद ही कि Edufy है, उनका सहारा है. जब पूरे मुल्क को ये पता हो कि ये ऑप्शनैलिटी है, जहाँ हमने कस्टमर्स और स्टूडेंट्स को सर्व किया हुआ है. there's not a certain number in mind. Obviously मेरी ड्रीम तो है कि ना पूरे 27 मिलियन जो ड्रॉप आउट करते हैं, बगैर जो फंडिंग आपको उसके लिए रिक्वायर्ड होएगी, इट्स एस्ट्रोनॉमिकल. बट इंशाल्लाह वी बिल्ड दिस इनटू अ प्रॉपर कंपनी जहाँ you know, people don't think of education as a luxury anymore. It is an attainable attainable basic need that they have a right to. And usually, you know, the government should be doing this, right? कि मगर हमारे education budget इतना कम है. Like, education sector को कभी पैसे नहीं मिलते. Like, it's the bottom of their thing. It should be, I believe it should be the top of the priority list. अगर हमारे मुल्क में, like, even if you educate one person, then what can he or she bring back to the country? I mean, expat Pakistanis are the ones through remittances who इस मुल्क को चला रहे हैं in True. Many ways. So I am proud of being an expat Pakistani in many ways.
If you had a choice and you had to pivot for whatever reason, because एक जो चीज मैंने common theme देखी है in any entrepreneur's journey They start with one vision, but they have to make a series of pivots along the way to keep it moving.
Yeah.
And sometimes आपने pivot इतना कर लिया होता है कि जो original vision था और जो काम आप आज कर रहे हैं उसमें ज़मीन आसमान का फर्क है.
Yeah.
What is a pivot you would not be willing to make?
To move away from the education sector.
That is a hard.
Yeah, अगर आप education problem को इस तरह tackle कर रहे हैं, 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 I don't mind. I'm not.
So whether you're serving the student, the parent, the university, right, even government in some cases for financing education institutions,
all open.
NGOs.
हाँ, but the end goal should be the same. कि literacy rate को हमने ज़्यादा करना है, मुल्क की basic education on topics needs to be better.
And is vocational training part of education in your definition?
Yes, vocational training is a burgeoning field in Pakistan as well, and I actually find it quite interesting. There is Suhail Naqvi who's working on Knowledge Platform, Knowledge Streams, and so it is there, and I think it is actually very useful because one of the arguments that I've heard about EduFi is कि भाई आप लोग degrees दे रहे हैं लोगों को, मगर jobs तो है नहीं है. And
I was going to come to that.
I was like, okay, I'm not solving. I can't go and make the jobs now. We're not the government, but for me, education is education. Like people are viewing this as education as a means to a job, which is obviously majority of the people's view. Okay, education क्यों नहीं चाहिए? But I think fundamentally we should be educated anyways. ठीक है? But I think vocational institutes are really the answer to that. जहाँ आप skills training सीखें और skills training से आप directly आपको you can start earning. For example, if you just learn development, you can get Pakistan mein baith ke you can be a freelancer and earn a job. So that and so you can that falls into.
And you would cover that.
Yeah, of course we would cover that. The thing is, vocational institutes nahi hai na itne Pakistan mein. Kitne vocational institutes hain?
Very few.
Yeah, like
and most of them were NGO sponsored.
Exactly.
Aman Foundation used to have a nice one that they built. I don't know if that's still around. A lot of people are doing this on their private level.
Yeah.
A lot of people are doing it through charitable funding कि vocational खोल लिया. यहाँ पे इस गरीब इलाके में हमने सिलाई सिखा दी, development सिखा दिया, कुछ digital skills सिखा दिया, electrician बनना सिखा दिया. तो ये चल रहा है but बड़े छोटे पैमाने पे चल रहा है. There's nothing at a national level or at a provincial level at scale. There are some government initiatives, but how many people know about them?
I mean, if you create a vocational institute where people can develop enough skills to sit in Pakistan and freelance abroad, not just in development sector, but in other ones, that could be a massive remittance income for the country, as well as make people educated and, provide them an income. The dream is like all three.
Interesting. So now I understand the business. I understand the prospect. Tell me one thing before I jump into the next part of this. Pakistan only is where you want to solve this problem? Would you ever grow globally?
I think a lot of startups, like including Airlift, अपने पाँव बहुत जल्दी फैलाना शुरू कर देते हैं. I think that I pronounced that word wrong, but they spread too fast.
Yeah.
I think I'm passionate about Pakistan. So as long as I want to, first let's just grow in Pakistan. Let's help the people, our people first, and try and provide them this scheme, make our product even better. And dekhte hai zindagi mein, you never know I'm not adverse to it, obviously, but I'm passionate about doing it here first and making it very at size and at scale here. So jo bhi funds hai, I want to direct them here first. Issue is ke हमारे मुल्क में और कितने issues होते हैं, like inflation, other startups blowing up, corruption. It dissuades international investors from just this country. You have to be like, okay, we will expand abroad. Founders are forced to expand abroad as well because investors have lost faith in Pakistan only. And that really is, and people say corruption ka kya, corruption makes massive issues for all of us in all sectors. Like, don't even get me started on corruption. My opinions on that.
Give me one view of yours on corruption. At least one. Or one experience.
No, my views are very controversial. I don't want to be cancelled.
This is YouTube. It's not gonna be affected.
I think my biggest issue with corruption in our society and the circles we move in is कि लोग corruption करते हैं and there is no consequences of it. ठीक है? Even social, अगर इस मुल्क में law and order नहीं है, तो social ostracization भी कर सकते हैं ना, कि उनके साथ ना बैठें. But ये इतना हो नहीं सकता because हमारा system इस तरह है. सब लोग best friends एक दूसरे के साथ हैं. You know, किसी की मामी एक दूसरे, like किसी शादी हुई हुई है, वो है, like they're all, but like technically, if you are like stealing, you are stealing from all of us. Like, why are we sitting, mingling, eating with corrupt people? I mean, I think this is a opinion of mine which I struggle with, because corrupt people are very nice people. You know, I'm not saying my friends, but I'm just saying there can be very good people.
They're very generous also.
They're also very generous. No, but I'm just saying very good people can be corrupt people. It's not like जब आप सोचें ना corrupt बंदे के,
explain the difference.
Good people can be like, they're very good friends. They're very generous. They give back to society. You know, they will do.
Then how are they corrupt?
No, I'm saying they're stealing money, right?
That is not theirs.
That is not theirs. They're
or rightfully
stealing.
Earned.
How they're making their money is by incorrect means. But all of the other things, as they are as a friend and person, they're very nice.
You've just described half of the businesses in Pakistan. Mostly subsidized, rent-seeking, subsidized businesses, big businesses. So that puts half the country at stake based on your definition.
I struggle with it.
But isn't that... It's okay. So you grew up
with it.
You grew up in Saudi, right?
Yeah.
Saudi was the same.
I was 18 then.
The US is the same. In fact, there's a book right there that describes how the US corruption system actually works in the form of organized corruption. So it's everywhere. Why is it just a bad thing here?
But I think that there's law and order and consequences for those people, right? Like, I think that the law and order there is stronger. You can't buy your way. I think the elite in the US can still at times buy their way out of, for example, rape cases, or like, you know, you notice the odd rape case, something happened and he was the son of someone and they still managed to buy their way out of it. But it's not, I think that there is stronger law and order. So consequences aa jate hain. Either though the bar of buying your way out if you're elite is so high. I mean, so low. I mean, anyone can buy their way out if they pay enough money.
So I think that's the point here.
I'm not saying that corruption dunya bar nahi hai, but idhar zyada hai because the law and order is weaker.
So for example, in the US, Bernie Madoff did go to jail. His son did commit suicide for all the money they embezzled, right? And Bernie Madoff was very plugged in. Jeff Epstein, for all the stuff that he did go to jail. You know, so that would not have happened here. So these are big names that were put behind or taken, you know, into consideration. There's a case running against Trump. Whether he gets convicted or not, that's a whole different thing. But they went after a former president.
So इधर हम गपशप गोलगप्पे गुलाब जामुन खा रहे होते हैं.
So
हमारे घर में आओ.
तो वो corruption का problem नहीं है.
उनसे पैसे चाहिए ना.
वो corruption का problem नहीं है.
उनके business उनके ties हैं.
वो law enforcement का problem है. Rule of law का problem है. Corruption रहेगी. Corruption हर society में है, रहेगी. It is part of our ethos as communities. As if there is no law enforcement or rule of law enacted at whatever the consequences are of enacting that law. अगर rule of law ही नहीं होगा, कुछ नहीं चल सकता. And a country where there is no rule of law, no business can thrive and survive. Because today you might comply with all of your taxes and pay everything right. But another edufy opens up and finds a way not to pay their taxes. Their margins are far better than yours. They beat you.
See, like whenever someone says corruption, itna wide hai. See, उनके सब लोगों का दिमाग जाता है taxes पर. I'm talking even worse than that. ठीक है? I'm saying like किसी का land चोरी करना. इधर तो like I don't understand this.
It's common.
But for you, it's common. You
Karachi
lived
में
here.
आधे parks जो हैं high rises
Yeah,
बने
but it's
हुए.
common for you because you've lived here, right? It's not common for me coming from outside to see it's okay to go steal someone's land and then build a housing society on it.
So that's fine. No, the stealing of the land happens. It's happened for centuries. It's happened
चलो centuries से हुए
मतलब
ठीक
आप
है.
देखें जब colonizers पूरी दुनिया में Britishers आए तो उन्होंने क्या किया था? जमीन चोरी की थी ना लोगों की. यही हुआ था ना.
Okay.
Zameen to chori hona has been part of man's ethos since man has been moving around the world. It's not the zameen chori. It is the accountability of that chori. अगर मेरी जमीन पे एक कानून है that says कि यार ये जमीन आपकी और आपके नाम पे, आपने आके let's say मैं आके आपकी जमीन चोरी करूं, तो जो कानून नाफिज करने वाले इदारे हैं वो किधर हैं? To me, it's an accountability problem, not a corruption problem. Corruption तो है, रहेगा, centuries old thing.
But I think we're saying the same thing, different labels.
No, because rather than who will chase the corruption and fix the corruption.
Law and order.
So to me, I don't think you can tell people to not be corrupt. There will always be that.
No, I disagree with you on that also. I think जो हमारी parents की generation थी, I'm not saying कि तब भी corruption नहीं थी, मगर the value systems were not just money. Value systems were like different, I fear. You know, because obviously I grew up with parents who left Pakistan. So those are the values I grew up with. I came back to Pakistan, I'm like, dude, the values are so different here.
Because they grew up in a society where law enforcement and rule of law was a big part of their everyday life. आप speeding करेंगे, आपको ticket मिल जाएगा. आपने कोई एक वायलेशन कर दी, कुछ हो जाएगा. आपने दुकान से कोई चीज गलत से उठा ली, शॉपलिफ्टिंग पे आपको पकड़ा जाएगा. You know what I mean? Like you knew that there was accountability. यहाँ पे आप मुझे बताएं, स्पीडिंग पे टिकट मोटरवे पे मिलता है. यस, नो डाउट. इसके अलावा ट्रैफिक सिग्नल से स्टार्ट कर रहे हैं, राइट? सो टू मी दैट्स व्हाई आई फील द law, by the way, the laws are there and the laws are pretty decent. They're not that bad. Yes, sure, they need some updating. I get it. Who's enforcing those laws? And who's auditing the people enforcing the laws? And who's paying out those two sets of people? It's that chain that needs to be fixed, you know. But other than the financial aspect of corruption, have you seen this place being difficult for women to work?
I think that middle management, ke liye, I don't think that there is space for women to work in a safe environment.
There is not.
I think that that's where the issues are. I think when I've worked, for example, if I speak to the university's owners, they've always been very respectful. There has been situations where, for example, like middle management is the bit, I send my sales team. I think
No, so sorry, let me understand this. When you meet the top level,
they're all educated.
So there's
like they're in our, like it's a different, yeah,
it's a different interaction.
They're very nice, respectful.
So, but when you meet middle management,
yeah, middle management, I think there's different, like I think education levels once again. So, my sales team handles that. But to talk about women, let's just talk about women. I'm not necessarily about Edufy. I think, to be honest, all of the people who have been supporting me to date, like, have all been men. So I don't want to sit and male bash because that's not been my experience. Like, all the people who have supported me have been elder mentors, right? And they've genuinely, you know, invested in me or helped me. So I don't necessarily want to sit and male bash. I think कि अभी भी though in our society जब औरत काम कर रही हो and maybe if you know she doesn't need to work, the concept is कि क्यों काम कर रही है बेचारी. It's either बेचारी इसको काम करना पड़ता है और अगर उसको काम नहीं करना पड़ता then it's like क्यों काम कर रही है, like they're just confused. So I think socially it's a little bit like a bit interesting to navigate. But
so you're saying कि जो mindset है वो ये है कि अगर औरत काम कर रही है उसको तभी काम करना चाहिए अगर उसको पैसों की जरूरत है.
हाँ, और अगर उसने अच्छी शादी की है
और पैसों की जरूरत नहीं है,
अमीर है,
तो उसको काम करने की जरूरत नहीं.
तो ये काम क्यों कर रही है?
तो क्या करे?
तो समझ चिल करे, ब्रंच करे, which is fine, but
बच्चे पाले,
which is a huge responsibility, don't get me wrong, you know, I'm not a mother yet, but I'm sure when I am a mother, it will take a lot of my time, you know. I have a lot of my girlfriends, they're amazing mothers, you know, and they give, you know, it's a full-time job being a mother. I'm not discrediting that, and I would actually say that's one of the most important jobs any woman can do. But I'm just saying that I'm not a mother yet, so I don't, you know.
But do you get that? Why work? Why not be a mother?
The time. All the time. It's kind of like, why work? Why are you working so hard? And
do you get pressure to start a family instead of working?
No, my in-laws are super supportive.
No, just from society, not just from within the family.
I think I want to say pressure, maybe whispers.
Yeah, something like that.
Why? Sometimes, yeah.
Do you think that and so you come from a slightly privileged, educated, global experience background. How do you think, or what have you observed it is like for the women who are brought up here and are in the workplace?
I think one major difference I felt in Pakistan is that I can't talk to men without my integrity being questioned. As in like in Lahore, if I'm trying to do, like, if I'm talking to someone, it'll be about business because I'm trying to figure out a way that we can work together or figure out a way, I'm part of this organization, EO, which you already know about, right? That's very good. It's fine. But I'm just think when I first landed, because I'm younger, I'm single, I think the automatic assumption maybe in some women's minds are, maybe something else. But it's not, right? Like I'm here because you're trying to find business synergies. So I think that's what makes it more difficult for women to ever do anything in their lives because they are forced to choose between either they're forced to choose between either getting questioned on their integrity or just stay in their stay within talking to women. Now, my issue is talking to women about business is fine. I don't mind it. But they're not the big players. Like if they were the big players, I'd go talk to them. But they're not the big players. The big money, the big pockets, the big corporates, the big players, you end up at some man's door. So obviously, मैंने मर्दों से बात करनी है ना.
So who's questioning the integrity or intention?
Usually... No, I'm not pointing fingers of anyone.
No,
but
no,
it's
not persons.
But it's a vibe. I'm saying it's a vibe.
Is it the men questioning the integrity or intention, or is it the women in society?
I think it's just not done. I think it's just not, maybe more so in Karachi. I have not built my business in Karachi, so I can't speak of it I've been here for Shark Tank shooting for the last month, and Karachi is very different,
different.
Especially in the banking circle. I felt it was so easy and so normal.
Much easier.
But I think in Punjab, it's not like that. Especially in Lahore, it's not like that.
So Karachi, like if a woman walks in and pitches a business or you do a transaction or whatever, it's very normal.
No, but even in social settings, I'm talking social settings because a business transaction या pitch तक जाते ही नहीं है ना जब तक आप किसी से बात नहीं करेंगे.
True.
Right? Like we met through EO and it's always been fine.
Yeah.
Actually talking to like all the EO members have been great, but I'm just saying that there is definitely like it's been very difficult for me to navigate that with versus abroad. It's never been.
So what are the telltale signs of that seeping in?
I don't know. I don't know. It's just vibes. It's just vibes. I don't know how to describe it. So but now I've built a name. Everybody knows that she's just trying, she's
I'm talking about the first 2 years because now, it's different.
Now I have a name now. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. She's building a business. She needs this, probably wants to collaborate. Now it's like, whatever.
Right.
But by the way, I thought about it from a wife's perspective. I don't blame them because actually most women, I would say, not most women, but sometimes women do have those intentions. So I don't blame them either. But it's unfortunate that I think that's the thing that's unfortunate though, right? Like I think women, we need to create some role models of women actually being super successful where they're making, not just 10, 20, 30 top line, but more than that so that, they can pull more women up the ranks and then it becomes then women can go to other women for connections in business. But right now that it doesn't really exist like that.
So if you were to give advice to a woman who, thanks to Edufy, got funded, finished her college and wants to start a business, whether it's Lahore or Karachi, wherever in Pakistan, what are some of the tips you would give them?
What are some of the tips that I would
based on your experiences?
I would say you're going to have tough, thick skin. You can't be bogged down by what people say.
Because people will say a lot.
Oh, people will say a lot. People will get confused. People will say a lot. You can't get bogged down with it. I think that, and I think that you need to find a supportive support network. Your husband has to be supportive. Your in-laws have to be supportive. Your father, your own family have to be supportive. And if they're not, then you can't rise because in this society, women are allowed to rise. They do not just rise. They are given permission to rise and do that. And if you don't have a support network, you will fall because any human can't manage a breakage in their personal life. My personal life is solid. My people, my core people are around me. They support me. They agree with me. They're like this with me so that I can go and do this, right? So I think you have to fix your moat, personal life, go fix kare, keep that stable. And then You can, because for a woman, that has to be set first.
So thick skin and strong support network that
Yeah.
allows you
Yeah.
to rise.
Yeah.
Anything else that comes to mind?
What else comes to mind? I think those are the two main things. I think I can give more practical advice about maybe what their business is if I know what
So
their business.
let's say funding typically ends up being one of the areas people struggle with.
Okay, so if we talk about funding specifically, Pakistan's funding has dried up, especially we're in a bad cycle right now. I would probably raise from Middle East funds with like a Pakistan play where you have like a back office in Pakistan, and you're selling the product with US dollar revenue abroad so that you have the FX advantage. A product like that, if they want to set that up, that would get funded. But also I would just say you don't necessarily, I think we've gotten into this like habit, especially on LinkedIn, so falana raised so much money, all that means is that you diluted yourself. You gave up equity, right? And that's one perspective to look at it, right? So I don't think that's a sign of success necessarily.
But it has become that.
It has become that because you get all the attention for that, right? But attention is not success. Fame is not success either, unless you can monetize it. So what I'm trying to say is that even if you build a profitable business, funding ki zarorat hi nahi hai. Why does everyone think go to funding? I'm just saying you brought that topic up, but you can build a small business, grow slowly, make it profitable, inject your profitable back into your business. That's how all the really big business tycoons have really built their businesses in Pakistan. They build their profits.
And they own the entire business.
Like, that's the dream,
but
right?
It takes forever. And no one will like my post on LinkedIn if I don't post anything about raising funds. And that to me...
No one's going to like my post.
And so to me, the funny thing is, it compounds, right? It's like working out for your entire life will pay dividends when you're above 70.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Similarly, if you build your business for your entire life, it'll pay dividends in the back end of your business, hoping that you have good management in place to take over.
Yeah, aapki beto ko pay karega.
In case the kids don't want to take over. But when you raise money, I find it hilarious that aapko itni taaliyan milti hain on an occasion where you own less of the business.
Yeah, but that's what I'm
मतलब
saying.
basically आपने business आधा बेच दिया, बहुत सारे पैसे उठा लिए और अब आपके पास तालियां बच रही कि you sold half your business, you've raised 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, whatever you raised. Why is that so celebrated in this space? Because I'm not in that raising space. But in that space, that is the headline that everyone cheers for.
I think it's because इतना मुश्किल है ना पाकिस्तान में फंडिंग लेके आना. So जो कोई अनोखा बंदा कर लेता है, it's such a big deal because it is a big deal because कोई पैसे नहीं है.
But वो लाना एक मसला अलग है और उस फंडिंग को खर्च करना एक और बहुत बड़ा मसला है क्योंकि यहाँ खर्च करने की भी एवेन्यूज लिमिटेड हैं.
नहीं खर्च करने के एवेन्यूज बहुत है. Yeah, you have to build a team. आपके सबको salaries pay करनी है. खर्च पैसे तो इस तरह जाते हैं. I don't know your experience. Maybe I need to switch to your experience because पैसे
I found that a lot of startups will pivot because they have got capital to deploy and they don't have enough capital to deploy on their specific niche that they raised the capital for. So they start entering multiple verticals to experiment with, to deploy that capital. And oftentimes those verticals don't work out for them. And there's a number of startups I can name that have done that slight pivot only to come back to their core business.
I think that's not because their core one is not working. I think it's because the vertical, they're probably getting pressure to go faster. Remember, VC-backed businesses are faster. So they're probably like, grow faster. So that's why they're launching more products. I think that might be the main reason, but I don't believe in that necessarily. I believe that a product should be launched when the consumer tells you he needs it. So let's pretend I've launched Study Now, Pay Later. Ab hum university se baat kar rahe hain, we have those relationships. Hum university se पूछते हैं, आप क्या चाहते हैं? अब student से पूछते हैं कि आपकी क्या और problems हैं? And then we go and build a problem off of the back of that, not because we're getting forced to deploy capital and grow faster. So we just launch a product that we think might work or we think might address a hypothetical problem out there.
Do you think the VC funding model is a good model or is it a flawed model given that most VC-backed investments fail? The few unicorns actually pay for the other failures, right? And that worked in an environment where money was cheap, 2, 3, 4%, you were getting money in the US, right? So in a cheap liquidity environment, yes, I'll spend my money on 1,000 options. And if one becomes a unicorn, that'll cover my 999 failures. Do you think that's a model that can work in the long run?
Yeah, it's called spray and pray. Yeah, I think that it does because I don't think that VC portfolios work like this. There's like unicorns, which are like 30, 40, 50, 100x, right? And then there's like the 30x returns, then there's like the 12x returns, and then there's 5x returns. They get exits, and then there's the failures. So it's a range, first of all. I wouldn't say it's like this and this. It's a range. And in the US, you get bought out. You get aqua hires at 2x. You get your money back. Like the VCs do get their money back. They get, because it's a more liquid market, and there's more acquisition acquirers, you can get bought out in some way or the other.
But that doesn't work in Pakistan.
It's a less liquid market, so it's riskier.
So then why would a VC invest in Pakistan?
If they can maybe see a clear path to an exit, they can see regional expansion. If there is an FX play with US dollar coming in with the PKR back office, that's always existed. There are risks associated with Pakistan, but there's risks associated with SF. Like I mentioned, agar ek B2B software SaaS solution hai, there's 100 startups doing it. VCs are choosing which founder to back, and that bet can also go wrong. So I think every market has their own risks. There's no risk-free investment ever. You're just choosing which risk palette you're more comfortable with, right, as a VC. Like if you find a really great founder sitting in Pakistan and you can there's an FX play there and there's potential for regional expansion and the product's already working, they have really good numbers, why wouldn't you invest?
True. Last question. The one trait every founder should have.
Tenacity. And
Walk me through that.
So I wouldn't say people think I'm smart. I don't think I'm the smartest, but I think that one thing I am is extremely tenacious.
What do you mean by tenacious?
You cannot give up. Like, agar ye kaam nahi kar, ye kar lo, ye kaam nahi kar lo, ye kar lo. You keep moving. I think one of my teachers, my high school teacher said that, if she wants to get somewhere and there's a wall there, she'll break the wall, So I think you just have to figure out ways to get there because there's always a way. If there's a will, there's always a way, So I think that's what I think or believe on that end.
I completely agree. Yeah. I think you don't have to give up.
Yeah,
you have to find a solution.
Yeah,
and the solution will appear. You just have to hit your head hard enough.
Yeah, and come on Faizan's podcast so that your marketing gets better.
Thank you, Alina. This was so much fun. I really learned a lot. I think you've got a fantastic business. I think you're solving a great problem and you can replicate this business in other verticals like we were talking about. I wish you the best of success and good luck with the rest of your Shark Tank recording. And we will hopefully hear more about you soon.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you all for tuning into DigiTales. Like, subscribe, comment below. Your comments are valuable and we build our podcasts based on your feedback. So I appreciate you sharing that. Thanks.